Welcome back to the Speaker's Studio. I'm joined by my next guest. It is none other than Matthew Taylor, Chief Exec of the NHS Confederation. Not only that, podcaster, speaker. I believe you're speaking today and tomorrow. A busy man. Welcome to the studio.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
I say we've got you working quite hard over the next 2 days. I believe you're speaking both today and tomorrow. For anyone just tuning in, give us a bit of an update of or what to expect in your session later on today.
Yeah, so I'm doing my keynote this afternoon. Sounds a bit pompous to say keynote, doesn't it? But that's what it says in the programme. So that's my opportunity every year. Confed obviously is the joint host of this event with NHS England, so it's my opportunity to speak to conference delegates, but really our members, because we represent all parts of the health service in England and Wales and Northern Ireland, and talk to them about what I think it's most important for us to be thinking about right now. So that's what I'll be doing. And then tomorrow I'm chairing a session on improvement.
Okay, and in terms of, let's discuss tomorrow, because I don't want to give too much away about the keynote, because I know a lot of people will be tuning in.
I'm happy to.
But I'll give us a bit of an insight of what to expect for the keynote then.
Yeah, so I'm going to really talk about, I guess, 3 time frames. So a little bit about now. Have you noticed there's an election happening?
It's on our radar, let's say, yes. We're aware of it.
So there's a little bit about the election, then there's a bit about what we think the government should do, the new government should do coming into power. And then I stand back in the second part of the speech and I talk about the need to reimagine the health service, because I think that the way we're working at the moment isn't really sustainable.
Okay.
And I argue for a really quite fundamental shift in the way the core way we think about health and health policy, from a model that is basically reactive, where we wait until people are sick, to a model that's proactive, where we reach out and we're seeking to work with the community to enable people to live healthier lives for longer.
Interesting. I say that very much sounds like an interesting section. But that's 2:00 today. You're doing the keynote. So I say, if that interests you, stick around 2:00. We'll be going live to that. And then tomorrow, what does it really mean to embrace a continuous improvement culture? Again, if people want to tune in tomorrow, tell us a bit more about what they could expect and what are going to be the key points of that session.
So there's a lot of emphasis in the NHS at the moment on this kind of notion of improvement, which is really, I think, fundamentally about a mindset of looking at everything we do and thinking, well, how could we do that a little bit better? So that's how do you think about it? And it's hard to do that at the moment because we're under immense pressure and we have very little additional money to spend on anything. So to think about doing things better when you're under this kind of pressure is tough. So it's firstly that mindset and encouraging people to think like that. And in some ways, actually, when you've got less resource, it's even more important to think about how you can do things more efficiently and better. But it's then a set of techniques, a set of ways of working. And our particular focus here at the Confed is that generally when we talk about improvement in the health service, we tend to mean it in terms of an organisation, a trust. We're really interested in systems and places where it's really about collaboration. How do different institutions work together? How do partners work together? So what does improvement mean in that context of collaboration? So that'll be a big focus for me in the conversation tomorrow, but it's more generally about this idea of improvement, which is, every leader I speak to, they want to talk to me about the challenges they face, they want to talk to me about the financial challenges they face, they want to talk to me about the gap between demand and capacity, but they also want to show me how they're improving services, they want to show me examples of innovation.
And what sort of things do you want people to sort of take away from that session tomorrow?
I think take away the idea that even when things are really tough, thinking about how we can do them better is a really important thing. And in fact, if you're not doing that, it's quite demoralizing. Actually, that's always been my attitude throughout my kind of career is, I will leave this interview with you and think, how could I have done that a little bit better? And that's not because I'm a great person, it's just a mindset that I've got and I've always had, and it's been useful to me. So I think hopefully people kind of just get that, yeah, I know that's the way I need to think about things. How can I do them better? But then also there's a set of techniques that make this easier, but also there's a community. What I think is really important about improvement in the health service is that if you go to any trust, any system, there are a lot of people for whom improvement is an important part of what they do, and they can sometimes feel quite isolated. So how do you connect those people into a community of people talking a common language and supporting each other on the improvement journey?
Fantastic. And I know you've touched on communication, collaboration, community in there. Like how important would you say events like this are, like the actual Confed Expo, getting everyone together? Like how important do you think that is as a community, as the healthcare industry, in terms of bringing people together and moving forward?
I think it's obviously really important, but it's particularly important when people are under such day-to-day pressure. One of the observations I have about the health service coming into it from the outside, because I've only really been working in the health space for 3 years, is I'm surprised at how little time leaders get to spend in each other's institutions, in each other's organisations. If I was kind of president of the NHS tomorrow, one of the things I'd do is I would say every leader should spend at least a day every couple of months just in another trust or another system, and that every leader every couple of months should host a couple of people coming in and looking at what they do, because it's only really when you get out and you touch things and talk to people. And so what this provides is that opportunity to talk firsthand to people who are doing something different. I know what a lot of people do at Expo is they arrange to meet people, or they use the app to invite people to meet up with them, because they want to talk about a particular innovation they've heard about and say, how does it really, I mean, I've read the best practice guide, I've seen the video, but how does it really work? So I think that's important, and I think it's also an opportunity to just coalesce around a certain set of ideas. And given that we are going to have a new government in 3 weeks' time, I think having a kind of common sense of what really matters to us is important at this stage.
Okay, well, it's interesting. In terms of, I know you said you came into the industry sort of 3 years ago. What would you, because I know there'll be people watching who are considering getting into the healthcare industry, considering getting into the NHS, what would you say to someone thinking about basically joining the NHS?
Well, I'd say first of all, it's a really wise career choice. You know, one of the things we know with absolute certainty is that over the next 10, 20 years, the number of jobs in health and care will grow, because we have an aging population and we have rising expectations, and when people are well off, one of the things they do is they want to invest more in their health and well-being. So if you get a job in health and care, if you get qualifications in health and care, you're pretty much guaranteed that you can work here or anywhere else in the world, actually. So it's a wise career move. And I think the second thing I'd say is it's a challenge. Nobody would pretend it's anything other than a challenge. It's challenging here, but it's challenging in all health systems. But the rewards are enormous. You know, I think sometimes in health, and I understand it because of the pressures we're under, we forget that a lot of people get to the end of their working day and they don't really think they've achieved anything that, of any importance. They don't really have a sense of the value of what they do. That's not the case in the health service. We know that what we do day in, day out protects people, saves people's lives, gives people extra days and months with their families. And so even on the darkest days, we always know that we're making a difference.
And it is. It's a certain kind of person, like you say. It's a certain mentality, isn't it? Just give us a brief sort of look at your story, if you like. How did you end up where you are, if you like? What was your journey to get to where you are?
Well, my background's in policy and politics, and I worked at an organisation called the RSA, ran that for many years, and I kind of wasn't sure whether or not I wanted to be another leader, because I guess in the end the thing that I do more than anything else is try to take over organisations that might not be firing on all cylinders and get them to have the confidence and ambition, and that's what I've done over and over again in my career. So I wasn't sure whether I wanted to do that again, but I saw the job at the Confed. I saw that Victor is the chair. He's a fantastic guy. The idea of working with him really exciting to me. You know, I've done work on health. You know, worked in Downing Street and around think tanks. I've always been interested in health, and I thought, yeah, okay, I can't think of anything more powerful to do. It's probably, this probably will be my last job as a leader. I can't think of a more powerful way to end my career.
Fantastic. And if you just look slightly towards the future, if we came back in, let's say 5 years, did this whole expo again, is there any sort of topics that you think, looking into the future, you might want to see on the agenda that we might not be covering so far?
I hope that in 5 years we are on the way to what I'll talk about this afternoon, which is this reimagining of the health service, so that we're not there to wait until people are sick and to do what we can with them when they're sick, but actually we are at the heart of a health strategy which enables everyone to have a sense of agency about their health, where we work in partnership with the public, and where we really start to believe we can make a huge difference to people's capacity to live healthier lives for longer. That's the biggest single problem we've got. We're living longer, but we're not living healthier longer. And unless we can change that, then we're never going to be out of crisis mode.
Fantastic. Matthew, thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for joining us. Insightful comments there. If you want to see Matthew's keynote session at 2 o'clock later on today. Matthew, thank you very much for joining us in the speaker studio. Hope you have a brilliant day. Thanks for watching. More guests coming up very soon. Don't go away.